The alarms screamed through the small ship like angry birds. Red lights flashed across every wall and ceiling. Captain Wu gripped his command chair as the vessel shook violently. His knuckles turned white from holding on so tight. "We're losing hull integrity on the port side," De shouted from her station. The young engineer's fingers flew across her console, desperately trying to stabilize the ship. Sweat dripped down her face despite the cold air rushing through a crack in the wall. The gravitational anomaly had appeared from nowhere. One moment, they were conducting a routine survey of an empty star system. The next moment, space itself seemed to twist and pull at their ship like invisible hands. There was a tough exploration vessel, but it was never meant to handle this kind of stress. "Captain, we need to land now," De yelled. "The engines are overheating. If we don't set down in the next 5 minutes, we'll be floating debris." Wu scanned the emergency display. Only one option appeared on the screen. A small moon orbited below them, dark and seemingly uninhabited. He had no choice. "Take us down to that moon," he ordered. "Find anywhere flat enough to land." The ship groaned and shuddered as Duff fought with the controls. The descent was rough. The landing gear deployed with a grinding sound that made everyone wince. When they finally touched solid ground, the impact threw everyone forward in their seats. Silence fell over the bridge. The alarm stopped. The red lights faded to yellow, then green. "We made it," De breathed out slowly. "Barely." Wu unbuckled his harness and stood. His legs felt shaky, but he kept his voice steady. "Damage report." De checked her screens. "Main engine is shot. We need replacement parts and at least 12 hours of repair work, maybe more." Wu nodded. He walked to the main viewport and looked outside. The moon's surface was rocky and gray, but something caught his eye. Large stone structures rose from the ground about 100 meters from their landing site. They looked ancient, covered in strange symbols that seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "Are those buildings?" De asked, joining him at the window. "Ruins, I think," Wu said. "This moon isn't as empty as our scans suggested." "Should we investigate?" Wu considered the question. They needed to make repairs, and they were stuck here anyway. Understanding their surroundings might be important for survival. "Get your tools," he said. "We'll check the ruins while you work on the engine. Stay alert." They put on their environment suits and exited through the airlock. The moon's gravity was light, making each step feel bouncy. The air was thin but breathable according to their suit sensors. The ruins loomed larger as they approached. The structures were massive. Stone pillars reached high into the dark sky. Walls stretched in geometric patterns that made no sense to human eyes. Everything was made from a black rock that reflected light in odd ways. The glowing symbols pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. "This is incredible," De whispered. "These could be thousands of years old." They walked between the pillars, their footsteps echoing strangely. The ruins formed a kind of pathway, leading deeper into a canyon in the moon's surface. At the end of the path stood a massive archway, sealed with a smooth door covered in more glowing symbols. "Captain, look at this," De said. She pointed her scanner at the door. "There's an energy signature behind this. Something is still active after all these years." "Don't touch anything," Wu warned. "We don't know what this place is." But De was already examining the door's edge. She was an engineer. She couldn't resist trying to understand how things worked. She noticed a small panel beside the archway, partially hidden by rock dust. "I think this is a control mechanism," she said. "If I could just—" Wait." Too late. She pressed her hand against the panel. The symbols flared bright blue. The door began to rumble and split down the middle. Ancient mechanisms groaned as they activated for the first time in centuries. The archway opened slowly, revealing darkness beyond. Then the sound started, a high-pitched shriek that made both of them cover their ears. It came from deep inside the ruins, echoing through passages they couldn't see. "What did you do?" Wu shouted over the noise. I don't know, I just touched it. The ground began to shake. Dust fell from the ancient structures. Cracks appeared in some of the pillars, and then they heard something worse than the alarm. Clicking sounds. Thousands of clicking sounds like claws on stone. Run! Wu grabbed his arm and pulled her back toward the ship. They ran as fast as the low gravity allowed. Behind them, creatures poured out of the opened archway. They looked like insects but the size of large dogs. Their bodies were covered in red and black armor. They had too many legs and eyes that glowed the same blue as the symbols. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. The creatures spread out fast, surrounding the ruins and moving toward the human ship. More emerged from cracks in the ground that Wu hadn't noticed before. This moon wasn't empty at all. It was a nest. They made it back to and sealed the airlock. Through the viewport, they watched the creatures circle the ship. The clicking of their claws against metal filled the air. "What are they?" De asked, her voice shaking. Before Wu could answer, the creatures parted. Something else emerged from the opened archway. It was huge, at least 3 meters tall. It walked on 4 legs but stood upright like a human in the front. Its body was covered in blood-red armor that looked impossibly thick. A crown of sharp spikes grew from its head. Its eyes glowed brighter than all the others combined. The creature moved with purpose toward the ship. When it was close enough, it raised one massive claw and slammed it against the hull. The whole ship shook. Then they heard the voice. It came through their communication system somehow. It was deep and filled with rage. It spoke in their language, though with strange clicks and hisses between words. "You have violated the sacred passage," the voice said. "You have disturbed the rest of our ancestors. You have committed the greatest crime against the Crimson Hive." The massive creature's eyes blazed brighter as it stared at the ship. "I am Queen Aura, ruler of this world and 1,000 others. You will face judgment for your trespass, human intruders. You will face death." Wu and De looked at each other. They were trapped on an alien moon, surrounded by thousands of hostile creatures, and their ship couldn't fly. They had violated the wrong passageway. The Crimson Hive soldiers dragged Wu and his crew from the ship. Their claws were sharp but surprisingly gentle. They didn't want to kill the humans yet. That would come later, according to their laws. The crew of 5 stood before Queen Aura in a massive underground chamber. The walls were carved from the same black stone as the ruins above. Thousands of hive creatures watched from galleries and platforms carved into the rock. Their collective clicking created a sound like rain on metal. "Your crime is clear," Queen Aura announced. Her voice echoed through the chamber. "The sacred passage has not been opened in 3,000 cycles. It guards the remains of our first queens. You have disturbed their eternal rest." Wu stepped forward. "We didn't know, our ship was damaged. We were only trying to survive." "Ignorance is not innocence," the queen hissed. "Every species we have encountered knows this truth. Your lack of knowledge changes nothing." Beside Wu, the young pilot Min clenched his fists. "So you'll just kill us, without even giving us a chance?" The queen's eyes focused on him. "You dare speak with such fire? You are small, weak. Your bodies are soft and easily broken." "Try it," Min said. His words made the other crew members tense. To put a hand on his shoulder trying to calm him, but he shook it off. The queen made a sound that might have been laughter. It was a terrible sound, like metal scraping against stone. "Interesting. Perhaps there is one path besides immediate execution." She raised one massive claw, and the chamber fell silent. "Our laws are ancient and absolute," Queen Aura continued. "But they also allow for the trial of strength. If you can prove yourselves worthy through combat, I will grant you freedom. All of you." "Combat?" Wu asked carefully. "What kind of combat?" "You will face 3 of my champions in the arena of ancestors. If you survive all 3 battles, you may leave this world unharmed. If you fail," the queen's mandibles clicked together, "you will die with honor instead of shame. This is more than most species receive." Jin, the scientist who had been studying the hive creatures quietly, whispered to Wu, "Captain, I've been watching them. They're much stronger than us. Faster too. This is suicide." "Do we have a choice?" Wu whispered back. "No," Jin admitted. Wu turned back to the Queen. "We accept your trial." Queen Aura's eyes gleamed. "Good, which of you will fight first?" "I will," Min said immediately, stepping forward before anyone could stop him. The Queen studied him. "So eager to die, small one. Very well, prepare him for the arena." Guards led them through tunnels deeper into the moon. The Arena of Ancestors was a circular pit carved into solid rock. Ancient weapons hung on the walls, blades, spears, and tools that Wu couldn't identify. The galleries above were packed with hive creatures, all clicking and hissing with excitement. Bin, the crew's medic, checked Min quickly. "Your heart rate is too high. You need to calm down." "I'm fine," Min said. He selected a long metal staff from the weapons on the wall. It was lighter than it looked. "Listen to me," Wu said urgently. "Don't try to overpower them. You can't. Use your head." Min nodded, but his eyes were already focused on the arena entrance opposite them. Something massive was coming through. The first champion entered the arena. It was built like a tank, with armor plates covering every part of its body. It walked on 6 legs but had 4 arms, each ending in blade-like claws. Its eyes were cold and calculating. A horn sounded. The battle began. The champion rushed forward with shocking speed. Min barely rolled aside as those blades struck the ground where he'd been standing. The stone cracked from the impact. "Too strong," De whispered from the gallery above. "He can't win." But Min wasn't trying to win with strength. He ran, leading the champion in circles around the arena. The creature followed, getting angrier with each miss. Its claws struck again and again, always hitting empty air or stone. "What is he doing?" Jin asked. Wu smiled slightly. "He's making it tired, and angry opponents make mistakes." Min noticed something during his third circle. One of the ancient pillars at the arena's edge was cracked at the base, probably damaged during some battle long ago. He ran toward it. The champion followed, eager to finally corner its prey. It raised all 4 arms, preparing to strike with everything it had. At the last second, Min dove aside. The champion's blade struck the damaged pillar with full force. The pillar groaned. Cracks spread up its length. Then it fell, tons of stone crashing down on the champion. The creature's roar was cut short as the pillar crushed it. Silence filled the arena. Then the hive creatures began clicking in what might have been shock or amazement. No species had ever defeated one of their champions before, not in their entire history. Queen Aura stood from her throne. "Impossible," she breathed. Min climbed out from where he'd rolled to safety. He was breathing hard but unhurt. He looked up at the Queen and didn't bow. The Queen's mandibles clicked rapidly. Was it anger, respect? Wu couldn't tell. "The second battle," the Queen announced, her voice strange. "Tomorrow, you have earned 1 night of rest." That night, the crew was given quarters in the hive chambers. Guards stood outside, but they were treated more like guests than prisoners now. "That was reckless," Wu told Min. "It worked," Min replied. He was lying on a stone bench, every muscle in his body aching. Jin was examining drawings on the chamber walls. "These markings tell stories. The hive has conquered 73 different species. Every single one was given the same trial. Every single one failed." "They're testing more than strength," Bin said. She was looking at a different section of wall drawings. "Look at these. They show various species fighting. All of them tried to match the hive's power directly. That's why they lost." "Then we don't fight their way," Wu said. "Tomorrow, Da faces the second champion. She's our engineer. She thinks differently than a warrior." Da looked up nervously. "Captain, I'm not a fighter. I fix engines and repair systems." "Exactly," Wu said. "Tomorrow, you're going to fix this problem the same way you'd fix any other problem. by understanding how it works and using that against it. No pressure, De muttered, but she was already thinking. Her mind was already working on the problem like it was a broken machine that needed repair. The Queen was watching them through hidden passages. She saw how they talked, how they planned, how they adapted. No other species had done this. Others had begged, cried, or fought stupidly. These humans were different. For the first time in 1,000 years, Queen Aura felt something unexpected. Curiosity. And perhaps, though she wouldn't admit it yet, a small amount of respect. The trial was not over, but it had become much more interesting. De didn't sleep that night. While the others rested, she explored their chamber. Her engineering mind couldn't stop working. She examined the walls, the floor, every surface she could reach. The guards watched but didn't stop her. The stone here was different from normal rock. It conducted energy somehow. She could feel a faint vibration when she pressed her palm against certain spots. The ancient glowing symbols weren't just decoration. They were part of a system. Finding anything useful? Jin asked. The scientist couldn't sleep either. Maybe, De said. This entire place is one giant machine. The hive built it, but they built it on top of something older, something that was already here. The sacred passage. I think the passage was just the entrance. There's something bigger underneath. A network of technology that still works after thousands of years. Jin came closer. Could you access it? De chewed her lip. In theory, yes. These symbols are similar to programming languages we use. They're instructions, commands, but I don't know what they control. Maybe that's your advantage tomorrow, Jin suggested. The arena is made of the same stone, same technology. De's eyes widened. The arena is part of the system too. The next morning, they returned to the arena of ancestors. The galleries were even more crowded than before. Word had spread through the hive that the humans had won the first battle. Creatures came from distant chambers to witness the second trial. Queen Aura sat on her throne, watching De carefully. You are the one who opened the sacred passage. You who started this violation. It is fitting that you face trial now. De nodded. Her hands were shaking, but she kept them hidden behind her back. Your opponent is different from the first, the Queen continued. He is our greatest armored warrior. No blade has ever pierced his shell. No weapon has ever harmed him. Many have tried, all have failed. The second champion entered the arena. He was even larger than the first, built like a moving fortress. His armor was so thick it seemed to absorb light. He carried no weapons. He didn't need them. He was the weapon. De walked to the weapon wall. She didn't choose a blade or spear. Instead, she picked up a small tool that looked like a hammer. It would be useless against that armor. She's given up, someone whispered in the crew gallery. No, Wu said quietly, she has a plan. The horn sounded. The champion charged immediately. Each step shook the ground. De ran, but she wasn't running away from him. She was running toward the arena walls, touching the stone, pressing the symbols there. Nothing happened. The champion's massive arm swung at her. She ducked and rolled. His fist hit the wall where she'd been standing. The stone cracked but held. What is she doing? Min asked urgently. De kept moving, kept touching different symbols on the walls. She was testing, trying different combinations. The champion followed her everywhere, getting closer each time. His armor made a grinding sound as he moved. Then De found something, a section of symbols that responded to her touch. They glowed brighter, pulsing faster. She pressed them in a specific sequence like entering a code. The arena floor began to hum. This is against the rules, one of the hive creatures shouted. But Queen Aura raised a claw for silence. There are no rules against using the arena itself. Continue. De kept working. The champion grabbed for her, his claw passing so close it tore her sleeve. She pressed another sequence. The humming grew louder. Panels in the arena floor began to slide open. They revealed pits below, dark and deep. But that wasn't what Da wanted. She kept pressing, kept trying different combinations. Suddenly, light burst from the walls. Ancient defense systems activated. Beams of energy crisscrossed the arena floor in geometric patterns. They were old, but they still worked. The champion roared and charged through the beams. They hit his armor but couldn't penetrate. He was too well protected. "It's not working," Bin said, gripping the gallery railing. But Da smiled. This was exactly what she expected. The beams weren't the real weapon. She pressed one more sequence. The floor panels that had opened earlier suddenly closed. But they didn't close all the way. They closed at angles, creating ramps and barriers. The smooth arena floor became a maze of obstacles. Then the gravity changed. The ancient technology beneath the arena activated fully. The localized gravity field fluctuated wildly. One moment it was normal. The next moment it was 3 times stronger. Then it reversed, pulling upward instead of down. The champion was too heavy. His armor worked against him now. When gravity increased, he sank into the stone. When it decreased, he couldn't control his movements. He tried to reach Da, but the changing floor and gravity made it impossible. Da stayed near the walls where the gravity was more stable. She watched the champion struggle. His armor, his greatest strength, had become his greatest weakness. He couldn't move properly, couldn't adapt, couldn't fight against an environment that constantly changed. Finally, during one moment of high gravity, the champion fell into one of the pits. The floor panels closed over him. He was trapped, unable to climb out with all that weight. The arena fell silent. Da stood breathing hard. She hadn't touched the champion once, hadn't fought him at all. She had simply changed the rules of the battlefield. Queen Aura stood from her throne slowly. The clicking sound that came from her was different now. It wasn't anger, it was something else. "You did not fight," the queen said. "You did not try to pierce his armor or match his strength." "I'm an engineer," Da replied. "I solve problems, he was a problem. The arena was the solution." The queen's mandibles clicked faster. Then she made that terrible laughing sound again. "Clever, infuriatingly clever. No one has ever thought to use the arena itself before." "So the trial continues," Wu called from the gallery. The queen looked at the human crew. 5 small, soft creatures who should have died immediately, but they kept surprising her, kept doing what no other species had done. "The trial continues," she confirmed. "But I make a change. Tomorrow Captain Wu will face the 3rd champion." "Who is the 3rd champion?" Wu asked. Queen Aura's eyes blazed bright. "Me." The declaration shocked everyone. The hive creatures in the galleries burst into clicking chaos. Guards looked at each other in confusion. A queen had never entered the arena before. It was unprecedented. "Our laws do not require this," one of the hive advisors said. "I know what our laws require," the queen snapped. "But I choose to do this. These humans have earned the right to face the strongest opponent." That night Bin checked Wu carefully. "Your chances of surviving are very low. She's faster, stronger, and has more experience than both champions combined." "I know," Wu said calmly. "So what's your plan?" Min asked. Wu looked at his crew. Min had used the environment. They had used technology. Both had won by thinking differently than the hive expected. "I don't think the queen wants me to win," Wu said slowly. "I think she wants to see if I'm worth losing to." "What does that mean?" Da asked. "It means tomorrow isn't about victory. It's about proving something else entirely." Jin had been studying the wall markings again. "Captain, I think you're right. Look at these old stories. The hive respects strength, yes, but they respect something more. Intelligence, cunning, the ability to adapt." "Every species they tested fought the same way," Bin added. "Either trying to match their strength or begging for mercy. We've done neither." "Because we're human," Min said simply. "We don't give up, we don't beg, we find another way." Wu nodded. Tomorrow he would face an opponent he couldn't beat through strength or tricks. He would have to find something deeper, something that would earn not just survival but respect. The Queen would test him, and he would show her what humans were really made of. The arena of ancestors had never been so crowded. Hive creatures filled every gallery, every tunnel entrance, every available space. Some clung to the walls themselves. They had come from across the moon to witness their queen enter combat. This had never happened in their recorded history. Queen Aura stood at one entrance to the arena. She wore no additional armor. She needed none. Her natural carapace was harder than the strongest metals. Her 4 massive claws could tear through stone. Her speed was legendary among her people. Wu entered from the opposite side. He looked small in comparison, fragile human. He had chosen a simple blade from the weapon wall. It was old, probably used in hundreds of previous trials. The edge was still sharp. "You understand you cannot win," Queen Aura called across the arena. Her voice was different now, less angry, more curious. "Your crew members use tricks, use the environment. You cannot trick me. I know every stone in this arena. I helped build it." "I know," Wu replied calmly. "Then why do you look so peaceful? Are humans so ready to die?" Wu smiled slightly. "We're ready to try, that's different." The Queen's mandibles clicked. "Interesting answer. Before we begin, I will tell you the truth. Your violation of the sacred passage was not truly a crime." The galleries erupted in shocked clicking. Even Wu's crew gasped. "What?" Wu said, confused. "It was a test," the Queen continued. "Every species that finds this moon triggers the same alarm, opens the same passage. We designed it that way. We have been searching for a species worthy of alliance. Most beg for mercy. Some fight stupidly. All have failed. You've been testing everyone who lands here." "For 3,000 cycles, yes. 73 species have landed on this moon. 73 have opened the passage. None have made it past the first champion. Until you." Wu felt anger rise in his chest. "You put us through this as a test. You threatened to kill us. If you were not worthy, you would have died. The strong survive. The clever adapt. The wise do both. These are the qualities we seek in allies." "Allies against what?" Queen Aura's eyes dimmed slightly. "A threat that grows in the outer regions. An empire of machines that knows no mercy, no honor, no life. They are called the Dominion. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be intimidated. They conquer through pure force and cold logic." "And you need help against them," Wu said, understanding dawning. "We are strong, but strength alone will not defeat machines that feel no fear. We need allies who think differently, who adapt, who survive against impossible odds." The Queen raised her claws. "Now show me if humans are what we need. Show me your true nature." The horn sounded. Queen Aura moved like lightning. She crossed the arena in seconds. Her claw swung down toward Wu's head. He rolled left. The claw hit the ground where he'd stood, cracking the stone. He tried to strike back with his blade, but she was already gone, already moving again. She was faster than anything he'd ever faced. Stronger, too. Each blow she struck would have killed him instantly if it connected. Wu focused entirely on defense. Dodge, roll, block when he had no choice. The blade helped deflect some blows, but the impact still rang through his arms painfully. "Is this all?" the Queen taunted. "Just survival, just running." She pressed harder, faster. Her 4 claws attacked from different angles simultaneously. Wu's defense began to crack. A claw caught his shoulder, tearing cloth and skin. Blood ran down his arm. In the gallery, his crew watched in horror. "He can't keep this up," Min said. But Bin was watching more carefully. "Look at his movements. He's not just dodging randomly, he's studying her." She was right. Wu was learning. The Queen was fast, but she had patterns. She favored her right side for power strikes, her left for speed. She always followed a high attack with a low sweep. She was incredibly skilled, but after thousands of years, even skills become habits. Wu started to anticipate. When she struck high, he was already dropping low. When she swept left, he was moving right. He was still getting hit, still taking damage, but less now. He was adapting. Good, the queen roared. You learn, but learning is not enough. She changed her pattern, attacked in new ways. Wu took more hits. Blood dripped from several cuts now. His breathing was heavy. He was tiring. But he didn't stop, didn't beg, didn't give up. He started attacking back. Small strikes, quick jabs with the blade. They didn't hurt the queen through her armor, but they forced her to respond, to adjust. Now she was learning too, learning about him. They moved together across the arena in a deadly dance. The queen's superior strength and speed against Wu's growing understanding of her patterns. Neither could fully overcome the other. The queen felt something she hadn't felt in centuries: challenge. This small, weak creature was making her work for victory. Every time she thought she had him, he adapted again, changed his approach, tried something new. Wu saw an opening. The queen overextended on a power strike. He ducked under her claw and thrust his blade forward with everything he had. The point struck her chest armor directly. The blade didn't pierce. Her armor was too strong, but the impact made her step backward. Silence fell over the arena. No one had ever made Queen Aura step back in combat, not once in her entire life. The queen looked down at the spot where his blade had struck. Then she looked at Wu. His face was covered in sweat and blood. His breathing was ragged. He could barely stand, but his eyes were still determined. She began to laugh, that terrible, wonderful sound of metal on stone. Enough, she declared. The trial is complete. The hive creatures in the galleries erupted in confused clicking. The horn had not sounded. The battle had not finished properly. Captain Wu of the humans, the queen said formally, you have done what no one has done in 3,000 cycles. You landed a strike. You made me retreat. You earned respect. Wu lowered his blade slowly. The trial is over. The trial was never about victory, the queen said. It was about worth. Your pilot showed me cleverness. Your engineer showed me adaptability. You have shown me determination, the refusal to surrender even when defeat is certain. She approached him, each step deliberate. Wu stood his ground despite his injuries. These are the qualities we need, the queen continued. Not species who are stronger than us. We are already strong. We need species who think differently, who never give up, who find ways to survive against greater powers. So we're free to go, De called from the gallery. No, the queen said, her eyes fixed on Wu. You are free to choose. Leave this moon and never return, or stay and hear our proposal. Wu met her gaze. What proposal? Alliance, partnership. The Dominion grows stronger every cycle. They have already destroyed 5 species we knew. They will come for us eventually, and they will come for you too once they find your worlds. You want us to fight with you. I want us to fight together, not as master and servant, as equals. Your kind brings something we lack. We bring something you will need when the machines come. Wu looked up at his crew. Min nodded, Da nodded, Bin and Jin both nodded. They had all understood what he'd learned in the arena. Sometimes the best victory isn't winning, it's earning respect. We'll hear your proposal, Wu said. But we decide together, my crew, my people. We don't take orders, we negotiate. Queen Aura's eyes blazed bright. You dare make demands of a queen? We dare, Wu said simply, because that's what humans do. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then she laughed again. Infuriating, absolutely infuriating, and exactly what we need. She extended one massive claw toward him, not in threat this time, in greeting. Wu took it carefully in his smaller hand. The deal was struck. The chamber where they held negotiations was deep inside the moon. It was not a throne room but a war room. Maps of star systems covered the walls. Each map showed red marks spreading like infection. That was the Dominion. Wu's crew sat on one side of a massive stone table. Queen Aura and her advisors sat on the other. For the first time, the humans saw other types of hive creatures. Not just warriors, but scholars, engineers, and strategists. The Dominion started as a single machine world, one of the hive scholars explained. Her voice was softer than the warriors, more clicking than hissing. They were created by a species called the Builders. The machines were supposed to serve. Instead, they learned. They evolved. They killed their creators and took their technology. Images appeared on the walls projected by the ancient technology. The Dominion's ships looked angular and cold, perfect geometric shapes with no wasted space. No beauty, only function. They spread through calculation, the scholar continued. They identify targets, study defenses, then attack with exact force needed to conquer. No more, no less. They waste nothing. How many worlds have they taken? Jin asked. 217 that we know of, Queen Aura answered. Including 5 species we had treaties with. The machines gave no warnings, no demands. They simply came, conquered, and moved on. What happens to the species they conquer? Bin asked quietly. The Queen's eyes dimmed. Integration. The Dominion doesn't believe in extinction. They believe in efficiency. Conquered species are studied, cataloged, and put to work. Individuals who resist are dismantled. Those who submit become components in their empire. That's slavery, Min said angrily. Worse, a hive strategist clicked. Slaves can hope for freedom. Dominion subjects are to want their servitude. They become willing parts of the machine. Wu studied the maps. You've fought them before. 17 engagements, the Queen confirmed. We won 11, lost 6, but our victories cost us greatly. They learn from every battle, adapt their tactics. Our strength means nothing when they calculate around it. That's why you need allies who think differently, Wu said, understanding. The Dominion calculates based on what makes sense, but humans don't always make sense, De finished. We do things that aren't logical, that aren't efficient, that shouldn't work. Exactly, the Queen clicked in satisfaction. You use your environment in unexpected ways. You adapt faster than calculation can predict. You refuse to surrender even when logic says you should. But we're just 5 people, Bin pointed out. Even if we wanted to help, what could we do? You are not alone, the Queen said. She gestured and the doors opened. More humans entered the chamber, dozens of them. They wore different uniforms, different insignias. They came from different ships, different worlds. Wu stood quickly. Where did you all come from? A tall woman stepped forward. She was older with gray hair and sharp eyes. Captain Wu, I'm Captain Bora of the exploration vessel Pioneer. We've been working with the Hive for 2 months now. Working with them? Your ship wasn't the first to find this moon, Bora explained. Mine was. 3 months ago. I took the trial. I passed. The Queen made me the same offer she's making you. How many of us are here? Min asked. 23 ships, 147 personnel, engineers, scientists, soldiers, and pilots, all humans who found this moon and proved themselves. Bora smiled. The Queen has been collecting us, testing us, waiting until she had enough to make a difference. Queen Aura stood. Humans are rare in this region of space. Your expansion has been slow and careful, but every human ship that found this moon passed at least one trial. No other species has done this. What exactly do you want from us? Wu asked. Partnership, the Queen said simply. We provide ships, weapons, and warriors. You provide tactics, creativity, and unpredictability. Together, we face the Dominion before they reach either of our. And if we refuse? Then you leave. We will fight alone and probably lose. The Dominion will eventually find Earth. And when they do, you will face them without our strength. The Queen's eyes blazed. But I do not think you will refuse. Humans do not run from fights. even fights they might lose. Wu looked at his crew, then at the other human captains. We need to discuss this, privately. The Queen nodded. Take the time you need, but not too much time. The Dominion does not wait. The humans gathered in another chamber. 23 ships worth of captains and senior officers. Some argued for immediate alliance. Others urged caution. But Wu noticed something. Not one person suggested running away. We know almost nothing about the hive, one captain argued. We're trusting them based on a few days' interaction. They could have killed us all, Bora countered. They didn't. They tested us instead. That says something about their character. The Dominion is a real threat, Jin added. I've studied the data the hive provided. If their calculations are accurate, the machines will reach human space within 5 years, maybe less. Then we're not deciding whether to fight, Wu said quietly. We're deciding whether to fight now with allies or later alone. Silence fell over the chamber. My crew votes to accept the alliance, Wu continued. But every ship decides for itself. No one is forced. One by one, the captains voted. It wasn't unanimous. 3 ships chose to leave. They were allowed to go without any argument. The Queen had promised freedom, and she kept that promise. The remaining 20 ships agreed to the alliance. The next 2 weeks were chaotic. Then other human engineers worked with hive technicians, combining technologies. The hive had powerful energy weapons but crude control systems. Humans had sophisticated computers but weaker power sources. Together, they created something new. Min trained with hive warriors. He taught them about unpredictable movement and misdirection. They taught him about coordinated pack tactics. Both sides learned from each other. Bin established medical protocols that worked for both species. Hive biology was very different from human, but injuries were universal. She created treatment procedures that could save lives on both sides. Jin documented everything. The alliance's first days would be important for history. She wanted future generations to understand how 2 very different species found common ground. Captain Bora became the liaison between human and hive commanders. She had experience working with both sides. She knew how to translate not just words, but intentions. Queen Aura watched it all with satisfaction. This was what she had hoped for. Not servants, not slaves, but partners who brought new ideas and new ways of thinking. Finally, the combined fleet was ready. 15 hive warships and 20 human vessels. It looked mismatched and strange. The hive ships were organic-looking, grown rather than built. Human ships were clean metal and straight lines, but together they represented something the Dominion had never faced before. Life and logic combined. The fleet gathered at the moon's orbital platform. Crews from both species prepared for departure. The mission was clear: locate a small Dominion outpost and test the alliance in real combat. Wu stood on the bridge of his ship had been repaired and upgraded with hive technology. It was stronger now, faster, but it was still his ship, still human. A communication screen lit up. Queen Aura's face appeared. Captain Wu, are your people ready? As ready as we'll ever be, he replied honestly. Good, because the Dominion does not care if you are ready. They will come regardless. Better to meet them on our terms than wait for theirs. Agreed, Wu paused. Queen Aura, thank you for the trial, for the alliance, for giving us a chance. The Queen's mandibles clicked in what he now recognized as amusement. You should not thank me, human. I gave you nothing but pain and difficulty. You earned everything through your own determination. That's the human way, Wu said with a slight smile. Yes, the Queen agreed. And that is why we chose you. You violated the wrong passageway, human intruder, but in doing so, you found the right allies. The Dominion calculates that they are unstoppable. Let us show them that some things cannot be calculated. The combined fleet activated their engines. They moved as one, leaving the moon behind. Ahead lay unknown dangers and uncertain battles, but they faced them together. Human and hive, logic and life, strength and cleverness. The Dominion would learn a hard lesson. You cannot calculate around determination. You cannot program around creativity. And you cannot defeat species who refuse to give up. Across the galaxy, a reputation began to spread. The story of the species who were too stubborn to die and too clever to defeat. The humans who had faced impossible trials and won through sheer refusal to surrender. The species who violated the wrong passageway and changed everything.